Hey everyone, gather round because I need to talk. I need to get this off my chest. This thing that happened, this nightmare that became my reality. You think you know someone, right? You build a life together. You share your deepest fears, your craziest dreams. You trust them. You trust them with your heart, your future, everything. I thought I had that. I really, truly did. With Sarah, my wife. God, it even hurts to say that now. Wife. The word feels like ash in my mouth. We weren't perfect. No couple is. Let's be real. We had our ups and downs, stupid arguments about who left the milk out or whose turn it was to take out the trash. Normal stuff. Or so I thought. Looking back now, maybe the cracks were there all along, hairline fractures I just painted over because I didn't want to see them. Because admitting something was wrong meant admitting failure, meant facing a truth too terrifying to comprehend. It started subtly. A shift in her energy. You know how you can just feel when something's off with the person you love? It's like the air changes density around them. She became distant. Not cold, exactly. Not yet. More like preoccupied. Her smiles didn't quite reach her eyes anymore. Our conversations felt shorter, more surface level. When I'd ask if everything was okay, she'd wave it off. Just tired, Mark. Work stress. You know how it is. And I believed her. Why wouldn't I? This was Sarah, my Sarah. The woman I fell head over heels for. The one whose laugh could light up a room. The one I planned on growing old and gray with. Doubt is a poison, though. It starts as a tiny seed, planted by a strange glance, a hushed phone call cut short when you walk into the room, an unexplained late night at the office. And you try to crush it. You tell yourself you're being paranoid, insecure. But it keeps growing, twisting its roots around your gut. Then came the business trip. It landed like a bomb in the middle of our already fragile routine. Mark, honey, guess what? She'd said, trying to inject some fake enthusiasm into her voice. Big opportunity at work. They want me to go to that conference in Chicago next week. 5 days. It's a huge deal for my career. Chicago. 5 days. It felt sudden. Out of the blue. We hadn't discussed any upcoming work travel. Usually, she'd agonize over these things for weeks, planning outfits, stressing about presentations. This time, it was all very neat, very convenient. Wow, that's unexpected, I managed, trying to keep the suspicion out of my voice. When did this come up? Oh, just finalized today, she said, a little too quickly, avoiding my eyes as she started fiddling with her phone. It's all very last minute, crazy whirlwind, you know? No, I didn't know. My stomach churned. Every instinct screamed that something was wrong. This wasn't like her. The Sarah I knew would be flapping, making lists, asking me a million questions about what to pack. This Sarah was contained, almost rehearsed. Over the next few days, the feeling intensified. She was secretive with her phone, angling the screen away when I came near. There were hushed calls she took in the other room, closing the door behind her. When I casually asked who she was talking to, it was always just work or my mom. But the tone felt different. Strained. Once, I walked in unexpectedly while she was on a call, and I heard her say, "No, he has no idea." Yeah, everything's set for Tuesday. She slammed the phone down, startled, her face flushed. Just coordinating logistics for the trip, she stammered, forcing a smile that looked more like a grimace. Logistics. Right. The seed of doubt wasn't a seed anymore. It was a full-blown monstrous vine, choking the life out of me. I felt sick. Was she? No. I couldn't even form the thought. Betrayal. It's a word you hear, a concept you understand intellectually. But feeling it creeping up on you, suspecting the person you love most in the world could be capable of it, it's a physical pain. A cold dread that settles deep in your bones. I wanted to confront her, to demand answers, to shake her and yell, "What the hell is going on, Sarah?" But what if I was wrong? What if it really was just work stress, and my insecurity was about to blow up our marriage over nothing? The fear of being wrong was almost as strong as the fear of being right. So I did something I never thought I'd do. Something that felt dirty, invasive, but the not knowing was eating me alive. We had those smart home security cameras. One facing the driveway, one covering the back porch, mostly for package deliveries and deterring potential break-ins. We rarely checked them unless something specific happened. But there was one inside, in the living room, pointing towards the front door. We bought it when we went on a long vacation once, just for peace of mind. It was usually unplugged, tucked away on a shelf. The night before her trip, while she was supposedly asleep, though I could feel the restless energy radiating from her side of the bed, I crept downstairs. My heart hammered against my ribs like a trapped bird. My hands were shaking as I plugged it in, positioned it subtly behind a photo frame, and connected it to the app on my phone. It felt like a betrayal in itself, spying on my own wife in my own home. But the alternative, living with this corrosive uncertainty, this gnawing suspicion, felt worse. I told myself it was just for reassurance, that I'd check it, see her leave for the airport as planned, and then I could finally breathe, delete the app, and apologize to her memory for ever doubting her. Oh, how wrong I was. The next morning was a blur of forced smiles and hollow gestures. She packed her bag, a small carry-on, suspiciously light for a 5-day trip, I noted dimly. She hugged me goodbye at the door, a quick, almost formal peck on the cheek. "I'll call you when I land." "Okay," she said, her voice brittle. "Have a great trip." "Be safe," I replied, the words tasting like lies. I watched her walk down the path, get into her car, and drive away, disappearing around the corner. The silence she left behind was deafening. I stood there for a long moment, the quiet house pressing in on me. Then, I pulled out my phone, my thumb hovering over the camera app icon. My breath hitched. This was it. The moment of truth. Was I about to confirm my deepest fears, or was I about to feel like the world's biggest, most paranoid idiot? Part of me desperately hoped for the latter. Part of me just wanted the knowing, no matter how painful. I took a deep breath, tapped the screen, and waited for the live feed to load, my stomach twisting into a knot so tight I could barely breathe. What was I about to see? The banality of an empty living room, or the beginning of the end of my world? The little loading circle spun, each rotation amplifying the dread coiling inside me. Little did I know, the reality would be far, far worse than anything my suspicious mind could have conjured. The live feed flickered onto my phone screen. Just the empty living room, bathed in the morning light filtering through the blinds. The grandfather clock in the corner ticked steadily, each sound echoing the frantic pounding in my chest. Nothing. Just silence. Relief washed over me, so potent it almost made my knees buckle. "Okay, Mark, you idiot," I muttered to myself, a shaky laugh escaping my lips. "She's gone. She's on her way to the airport. You're just being paranoid." I watched for a few more minutes, the stillness strangely calming. Maybe I had let my imagination run wild. Maybe the stress of the past few weeks had gotten to me. I was about to close the app, ready to mentally kick myself and try to salvage what felt like my own sanity, when something caught my eye. A flicker of movement outside the window. I zoomed in, my heart restarting its frantic rhythm. It was Sarah's car. It hadn't gone far. It was parked just down the street, partially hidden behind a large oak tree. Why? Why would she park there? My mind raced, trying to find a logical explanation. Did she forget something? Was she waiting for a taxi or an Uber? But she had driven off in her car. It made no sense. I kept watching, frozen, my eyes glued to the screen. Minutes stretched into an eternity. The clock ticked on, mocking my anxiety. Then, the front door opened. My breath caught in my throat. It wasn't Sarah. It was a man. Tall, dressed in casual clothes, looking around nervously before slipping inside, closing the door quickly behind him. Who the hell was that? I didn't recognize him. My blood ran cold. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be real. It felt like I was watching a scene from a bad movie, not my own life imploding in real time via a security camera feed. I stared, numb, as the man walked further into the living room, looking comfortable, familiar. Too familiar. He tossed his keys onto the entryway table, our entryway table. He went into the kitchen, out of the camera's view. My hands were shaking uncontrollably now. This wasn't a forgotten item. This wasn't a work colleague dropping something off. This was something else. Something secret. Something devastating. Then, the camera picked up sound. Muffled voices from the kitchen. Laughter. Sarah's laughter. But she wasn't supposed to be there. She was supposed to be halfway to the airport. My mind reeled. Had she come back? Had she somehow snuck in the back door while I was distracted? Or had she never really left? Was the whole driving off thing just a performance for my benefit? The pieces started crashing together in my head with sickening clarity. The vague details of the trip. The light packing. The hushed phone calls. The man now casually making himself at home in my house. It wasn't a business trip. It was a lie. A carefully constructed deception designed to get me out of the picture, or at least, thinking she was out of the picture, so she could do this. Be with him. Anger, white-hot and blinding, surged through me, replacing the cold dread. The betrayal felt like a physical blow, knocking the wind out of me. How could she stand there, look me in the eye, kiss me goodbye, and then orchestrate this charade. While I was upstairs, sick with worry and suspicion, she was down here, planning this rendezvous. The audacity of it was staggering. The disrespect. The utter contempt she must have for me, for our marriage, for everything we had built. I wanted to smash something, to scream, to storm back home and confront them both right then and there. But a colder, more calculating part of me took over. No, not yet. Rushing and fueled by rage wouldn't help. It would give her the chance to twist the narrative, to play the victim, maybe even to gaslight me. I needed proof. Irrefutable proof. And I had it, streaming live to my phone. I kept watching, forcing myself to stay calm, to observe, to gather ammunition. Sarah walked back into the camera's view, followed by the stranger. She was wearing different clothes now, comfortable loungewear, not the business casual attire she'd left in. She was smiling, laughing, leaning into him as he put his arm around her waist. They looked comfortable, intimate. The sight sent daggers through my heart. They moved towards the couch, settling down, his arm still draped possessively around her. They started talking, their voices clearer now. So much easier with him thinking I'm gone for the week, Sarah was saying, her voice laced with a casual cruelty that chilled me to the bone. 5 whole days, just us. No sneaking around. About time, the man replied, leaning in to kiss her. I was getting tired of hiding. So this wasn't new. This had been going on behind my back. How long? Weeks? Months? Years? The timeline stretched out before me, filled with 1,000 tiny moments that now seemed suspicious in retrospect. Unexplained credit card charges. Late nights. Sudden girls' weekends. It was all a lie. My entire reality felt like it was built on quicksand. I felt like a fool. A blind, trusting fool. I couldn't watch anymore. Each frame was another twist of the knife. I saved the recording, my fingers fumbling on the screen. My mind was a whirlwind of hurt, rage, and confusion. What do I do now? Confront her when she gets back from her fake trip? Pack my bags and just leave? Expose her? The thought of revenge was tempting, a dark, seductive whisper in the back of my mind. Make her feel even a fraction of the pain and humiliation she had just inflicted on me. I needed a plan. I couldn't let her get away with this. Couldn't let her waltz back and 5 days later, tanned and relaxed from her conference, spinning more lies. No. She needed to know that I knew. She needed to see the evidence, to face the consequences of her actions. The element of surprise was gone for me, but I could still control how this played out. I wouldn't be the unsuspecting victim anymore. I spent the next hour pacing my office, the footage replaying in my head. The casual intimacy, the blatant deception. The image of that strange man in my house with my wife. Each replay fueled my resolve. I decided I wouldn't say a word. I'd let her play out her little charade. I'd take her calls from Chicago, listen to her fabricated stories about meetings and networking events, all while knowing the truth. Let her dig her own grave. And when she finally returned, expecting a relieved husband happy to have her back, that's when I'd strike. I wouldn't yell. I wouldn't scream. I'd be calm, collected, devastatingly prepared. I'd let the camera footage do the talking. The thought sent a cold shiver down my spine, a mixture of dread and grim satisfaction. The next 5 days would be agonizing, a torturous wait. But the confrontation, the moment she realized her lies had unraveled, that was the only thing keeping me tethered to reality. She thought she was in control. She thought she had fooled me. She had no idea what was waiting for her when she walked back through that door. The stage was set for a final act she never saw coming. Those 5 days were the longest, most excruciating days of my life. Living a lie myself, pretending everything was normal while my world had fundamentally fractured, was a unique kind of torture. Each phone call from Sarah was a masterclass in manipulation on her part, and a test of my own self-control. She'd call, her voice bright and breezy, full of fake enthusiasm about non-existent keynote speakers and productive brainstorming sessions. "Oh, Mark, Chicago is amazing. So much energy here. The conference is intense, but really inspiring," she'd chirp, while I pictured her lounging on our couch with him. I played along, asking generic questions, keeping my voice steady, even managing a hollow "sounds great, honey. Glad you're having a good time." Each word felt like swallowing poison. Inside, I was seething, counting down the minutes until this farce was over, until the reckoning. The camera remained on, a silent sentinel. I didn't check it constantly. I couldn't bear to, but I knew it was recording, documenting every moment of her betrayal and her supposed absence. The day of her scheduled return finally arrived. I felt strangely calm, A cold, hard knot of resolve settled in my stomach. The rage and hurt were still there, simmering beneath the surface, but they were now channeled into a focused determination. I tidied the house, not out of welcome, but as if preparing a stage. I made sure the TV in the living room was ready, the connection to my phone seamless. I didn't pack a bag. I didn't make any grand gestures. I just waited. She called from the airport, saying her flight had landed and she was grabbing a cab. "Can't wait to see you." So exhausted, she sighed dramatically. "Yeah, can't wait to have you home," I replied, the double meaning hanging heavy in the air, completely lost on her. About an hour later, her key turned in the lock. The sound sent an electric jolt through me. Showtime. Sarah walked in, dragging her ridiculously small suitcase behind her, managing to look convincingly tired yet pleased with herself. "Honey, I'm home," she called out, forcing a weary smile. She dropped the suitcase and came towards me for a hug. I stiffened instinctively but forced myself to endure the brief, empty embrace. Her perfume, the scent I used to love, now seemed cloying, suffocating. "Welcome back," I said, my voice flat, devoid of warmth. "How was the rest of the trip?" She launched into another performance, rambling about delayed flights and terrible airport food, sinking onto the couch with a theatrical sigh. "God, I'm so glad to be home. 5 days felt like forever. I missed you." "Missed me?" The audacity was breathtaking. I let her talk for a few more minutes, letting her spin her web of lies, letting her feel comfortable and secure in her deception. Then, I stood up. "Actually, Sarah," I began, my voice dangerously quiet. "I know you weren't in Chicago." Her smile faltered, confusion flickering in her eyes. "What? Mark, what are you talking about?" "Of course, I was in Chicago. I just told you." "No," I interrupted, cutting her off sharply. "You weren't. You were here? In this house. With him." Panic flared in her eyes, raw and unfiltered. She jumped up from the couch. "Mark, what is wrong with you? Are you accusing me of something? I was on a business trip. I have emails, itineraries, I can prove it." "Oh, I don't need emails, Sarah," I said, picking up the TV remote. "Because I have this." With trembling fingers, I turned on the TV and navigated to the screen mirroring app. Her face drained of all color as the security camera app interface appeared. She knew that interface. Her eyes darted towards the bookshelf where the camera was hidden, then back to the screen, wide with horror and dawning comprehension. You spied on me," she whispered, her voice shaking. "I confirmed my suspicions," I corrected her coldly. "Suspicions you created with your lies and your sneaking around." I pressed play on the recording from Tuesday morning. The footage filled the large screen, her car parking down the street, the man arriving, slipping inside, their laughter from the kitchen, them cuddling on the very couch she was standing beside, their damning conversation about how much easier it was with me thinking she was gone. Silence descended as the video played. The only sounds were the recorded voices of her and her lover, echoing chillingly in the living room, and Sarah's sharp, ragged breaths. She stared at the screen, mesmerized, her face a mask of disbelief morphing into pure terror. When the clip of them kissing appeared, she let out a choked sob and sank back onto the couch, covering her face with her hands. The video ended. The screen went dark, reflecting our tense tableau. I stood there, watching her, feeling nothing but a vast, empty coldness where my love for her used to be. "Who is he, Sarah?" I asked, my voice hard. She mumbled something incoherent through her hands. "Who is he?" I repeated, each word dropping like ice. She finally looked up, tears streaming down her face, makeup smudged. The confident, deceitful woman from the video was gone, replaced by someone broken and cornered. "His name is Ben," she choked out. He works in finance, downtown. We met a few months ago. Months, not weeks. It had been going on for months. The lies ran deeper than I could have imagined. "And the business trip?" "There was no trip," she admitted, her voice barely audible. I made it up. Ben's wife was out of town this week. We wanted time together. Uninterrupted. While I was losing my mind with worry and suspicion. The callousness of it was staggering. All the trust, the shared history, the vows we made, incinerated by her selfishness and deceit. I looked at her, really looked at her, and I didn't recognize the woman sitting there, weeping amongst the ruins of our marriage. "Get your suitcase," I said, my voice devoid of emotion. "Pack whatever else you need. I want you out." Now, Mark, please, she begged, scrambling towards me, grabbing my arm. Please, I'm so sorry. It was a mistake. A terrible mistake. Please, don't do this. We can fix this. I love you. I pulled my arm away as if her touch burned me. Love me? I asked, a bitter, humorless laugh escaping my lips. You don't know the meaning of the word. You love the convenience, maybe, the security, but not me. You don't lie to someone you love like that. You don't betray them in their own home. I gestured towards the door. Get out, Sarah, before I call Ben's wife and show her this footage too. That threat hit its mark. The fight seemed to drain out of her. She knew she had no leverage, no ground left to stand on. Wordlessly, tears still flowing, she picked up her suitcase, went upstairs, and returned a few minutes later with another small bag. She didn't look at me as she walked towards the door. Her hand hovered over the doorknob for a moment. Mark, she whispered, her back still to me. Goodbye, Sarah, I said firmly. She opened the door and walked out, closing it softly behind her. The click of the latch echoed in the sudden, profound silence. I stood there for a long time, staring at the door, the ghost of her presence lingering in the air. There was no satisfaction, no triumphant feeling of revenge, just a deep, aching emptiness. The truth, revealed by a hidden camera, hadn't set me free. It had simply confirmed the devastating reality of the betrayal. The road ahead was uncertain, painful. Rebuilding my life wouldn't be easy. But as I stood there in the wreckage of my marriage, I knew one thing for sure. Living with the painful truth was infinitely better than living a comfortable lie. The camera had shown me the darkness, but now, at least, I could start walking towards the light, alone, but finally free from the deception. And that brings us to the end of today's story. Thank you so much for tuning in. I truly hope to see you again for more fascinating tales ahead. If you enjoyed it, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our next adventure. See you soon.